So dear students, as you know, we are conducting a series to help the students going for the personality test. So what I am doing is, if someone is coming with their own set of problems or confusions regarding to certain questions, how they should be answered. So I will try my effort, which I think is good way to answer the questions. And again, I want to remind that whenever you go to that interview session, just relax. It is a conversation. It is not a question and answer session. And the things are very, very subjective. When the two human beings talk, this is very subjective. So the thing is, you may have one opinion, the board member may have different opinion. So you should be handling the situation in a smart manner, means with all humbleness. There is no need to argue. You can go back from you can just accept that maybe there are certain flaws in your argument. So most important thing is they are looking at your personality. Don't unnecessarily enter into argumentation, and at the same time, whatever point of view you will take, remain confident about it, and you should have 2 3 strong logic. And whenever you talk, you should have in mind the broad constitutional vision, constitutional provisions, as well as the broad approach of India over the world affairs, where I mean to say more formal approaches of foreign policy and domestic policy. So let us start this conversation. Yes.
Ma'am, now the world is going into the phase of elections where 64 countries will be taking the elections. But there are still cases where there are allegations on the internal disturbance while conduction of elections. So will a democratic world order be established this year in 2024?
Okay. So first of all, the question is, countries are going for elections and there is lot of possibility of internal chaos, because we know that how elections have become, how parties go to any extent to win the elections. In a way, we can call it the nature of electoral politics has become highly adversarial. Remember this word. So the democratic world order and the domestic elections, this question you can handle by suggesting that there are two ways to understand the democratic world order: one between the states and second within the states. Though they are not different from each other, they impact each other, but we need to analyze in two lines. Now, the democratic elections in themselves are not going to make democracy more threatening, because the democratic world order is already getting disrupted, but with China not observing the rule of law, we can say starting from 2016, when China denied that China will not be observing the UN clause or Permanent Court of Arbitration's direction on the South China Sea dispute with Philippines. Besides, China undermining the liberal world order, be it international organizations like UN or WTO, or whether in the regional framework. So one thing is, even without elections, the democratic world order is under huge challenge. Now the third is, if we talk about domestic sphere, because of the refugee crisis in the European countries, because of the financial crisis, etc., everywhere there is a rise of right, and the rise of right definitely puts a challenge to global order, to liberal world order, and to the democratic order. So that is certainly a cause of concern, but hopefully things, good sense prevail, and hopefully democracy passes through these turbulent times with confidence.
Ma'am, my next question is Pakistan is in the situation of worsening economic condition as well as political instabilities there in the region. Will it impact its relation with India?
Pakistan is going with the domestic crisis and economic problems. And the question is, will it impact India? So, if a question is, will it impact India? Yes, because we, like anything that creates problem in the neighborhood, is bound to be a huge concern for us. And Pakistan is anyway a special case considering the historical rivalry. Because of the globalization and world becoming more interdependent, we cannot say that we can be happy when our neighbor's house is burning. With respect to Pakistan, if Pakistan becomes a failed state, the biggest threat for India is the nuclear weapons in Pakistan coming under the hands of non-state actors, and obviously they may not behave as responsibly as the state actor. So India may come under the threat of the nuclear terrorism. Another thing, it will lead to the crisis of refugees and migration. It will also create problem for us. Any failed state in the neighborhood is a is not just a cause of concern, it is a cause of security concern. So stable Pakistan is comparatively more desirable scenario for India rather than a failed Pakistan.
Ma'am, my next question is there are recent protests in Ladakh for the demand of statehood. So, should it get it or not?
Demand for in Ladakh for statehood? This is a complicated question. Ladakhis are also demanding the status of sixth schedule, but under the constitution, right now, sixth schedule is available only for Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura. And since without amendment of the constitution, that is not possible, so they are asking the separate state. Now, whether to create separate state or not, we require to think about multiple consideration. People's aspiration is one. India is a democratic country. We respect people's aspiration. We created Telangana. But at the same time, we also have to see the viability of Ladakh as an independent state. We have to look into the security angle, because once a state system comes, the administration primarily come under the state. Strategically located regions, we have tested, we have experimented boldly with the states in northeast, so we can go for it. But yes, any such a step will require a lot of thinking and taking into account various factors. But ultimately, I believe there can be a way out where we can go for strengthening the local self-government, promoting transparency and accountability. Let us not have a very rigid attitude, and we need to deal with this question from case to case basis.
Ma'am, my next question is the recent demolition of the Sundaran Mosque by the Delhi Development Authority. Is it hampering the essence of secularism of the country?
No, I don't think it has to do with secularism. It is something to do with law and order and normal, the administrative work. Secularism will be hampered in case if there are government starts discriminating people on the ground of religion. Secularism is our basic structure. No government can do so. There is a judiciary to stop it. This every administrative action, if we'll start putting into a secular and a communal color, the working of the government will become problem. And it's not that only mosques are demolished, houses are also demolished if they are not at the right place. Even temples can also be demolished. So let us not see these type of activities through the lens of politics. We should see these activities through the lens of administration.
Ma'am, my next question is if China attacks on Taiwan, so will it initiate the World War III? And if it initiates, then what will be the situation that India will and which country it will support?
So first of all, whether China will attack Taiwan, we don't think so, because uh, though China claims that by 2027 they want to acquire Taiwan, but it's still, it is not, it is a distant thing, because China will prefer proxy wars, like in Middle East. They may prefer proxy war in and around Red Sea, and normally no country would want the proxy war in its region. But in case it happens, again China will have to take a serious thinking, because US, for US, Taiwan is very, very critical. If Taiwan come under Chinese influence, then US access to Japan and South Korea will stop. Fine. So it will be a very, it has to be a very calculated action. I do not know what they will do, but ideally speaking, they should not be taking any such misadventure. Now, what India will do, obviously, India should stick to its policy. Our policy is non-interference in the domestic affairs or non-interference in the affairs of other countries. India also believes in one China policy. So I don't think we will be in any way interfering in this debate or in this particular dispute. What India should do is keep on building its own deterrence, so that China should not look for an opportunity where instead of Taiwan, China shifts its focus towards India, or China starts another border incursions, etc. So we have to be very careful, but obviously let's not interfere in the affairs of the other states.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you. And I believe that you will learn how to address these questions. Again, I will say, uh, handle the situation with confidence. There is no right answer, there is no wrong answer. It is the reasons and arguments behind your answers, why you are choosing, that matters. And they are also looking for your logic, your arguments, and not your opinions. Thank you.